Philosophy and journey, walking in eternal nature. There are journeys that cannot be measured in kilometers traveled, but in inner transformation. Walking in nature is not just a movement of the body. It is an experience of the soul. Walking in eternal nature is immersing yourself in a world that transcends our lives, a world where time dissolves and every step becomes a deep meditation. In this video, I invite you to an initiatory journey, a poetic and philosophical passage where every path becomes a page, every tree a word, and every breath a lesson. 1. What is eternal nature? Eternal nature is not defined only by its longevity. It is that invisible dimension that persists through the flow of change. It is made of cycles, day and night, spring and winter, birth and death. Philosophy has always sought to understand this eternity. Ancient Stoics saw in nature an unchanging order, a universal reason. Taoists perceived nature as an eternal flow, a dance of existence. Even modern scientists speak of eternity through natural cycles, water evaporating and returning, forests renewing themselves, rocks slowly transforming into fertile soil. Open quote. Heraclitus said, "You cannot step into the same river twice. Because the water changes, the river changes, and yet it remains itself." Close quote. Walking in eternal nature is walking in this paradoxical truth, changing while remaining. 2. Walking as a living meditation. Walking slowly, breathing deeply, listening. Walking in nature becomes a meditation in motion. Imagine your feet treading on a moss-covered path, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, the damp scent of earth after the rain. Every step becomes an act of presence, a moment when the mind stops, detaches from the bustle of daily life. Philosophers have always understood this deep relationship between walking and thought. Aristotle, who walked with his students in the gardens of the Lyceum. Nietzsche, who took long solitary walks to meditate on his ideas. Thoreau, who retreated into the woods to write Walden. Walking is thinking with your feet. In eternal nature, walking becomes a silent school where one learns to listen. 3. A sensory immersion. Walking in eternal nature is entering a world where the senses become doors to a deeper experience. Sight, gazing at the horizon, observing the infinite shades of green, the play of light through the trees, the dance of the mist. Hearing, listening to the song of the wind, the murmur of a stream, the deep silence that envelops the forest. Touch, feeling the rough bark of a tree, the coolness of a wet stone, the softness of a wildflower. Smell, sensing the scent of earth after rain, dry herbs, pine, or wild thyme. Taste, tasting the fresh air, the sweetness of a freshly picked fruit. These sensations are not merely physical, they become meditations, bridges to the understanding of eternal nature. 4. The philosophical meaning of walking. Walking in eternal nature is not merely movement, it is an act full of meaning. In the history of thought, walking has always been linked to the quest for wisdom. Each step poses a silent question. Where am I going? Why? What is the meaning of this path? Philosophically, walking teaches us humility, understanding that we are only part of a greater cycle. Patience, learning to move forward without rushing. Attention, reconnecting with the present moment. Walking becomes a metaphor for life. Like nature, our existence is a continuous path where every moment matters. 5. The journey as a school of life. Walking in eternal nature is also learning how to live. It reminds us that meaning is not found in the destination, but in the journey. Every step is a lesson. Observing the persistence of mountains teaches strength. Seeing a river carve its path teaches resilience. Contemplating an ancient tree teaches patience. Eternal nature shows us that time is not a straight line, but a cycle. It invites us to understand that living is walking in a flow, embracing change, and creating meaning in each instant. 6. An invitation to conscious intention. Walking in eternal nature is also walking with intention. Asking yourself, why am I walking? What is my intention in this step? That is the key. Eternity is not only in nature, it is in the awareness we bring to it. Like Elias in the mirror of the moment, we can transform each step into a creative act. Walking then becomes a spiritual practice, an active meditation where every breath becomes an answer, every step a choice. 7. Walking in eternal nature is not a mere journey. It is a path toward wisdom. It is learning to slow down, listen, and contemplate. It is understanding that nature is a mirror of time and the soul. So, when you walk tomorrow, ask yourself this question: what is my intention here and now? Because walking in eternal nature is not simply going from point A to point B, it is becoming yourself, fully aware in each moment. Open quote, walking is an art. The present moment is eternal. Number 8. Nature as teacher of time. Walking in eternal nature teaches us a truth both simple and profound. Time is not merely counted, but lived. It is not measured only by hours, days, or years, but by transformation. Every river, every mountain, every leaf carries its own story of becoming. Philosophy calls this temporal depth of nature, the idea that time exists in layers. Geological time, biological time, human time, all these scales coexist, folding into each other like the rings of an ancient tree. Imagine walking along a coastline at dawn. The tide rolls in slowly, carving the sand. Beneath your feet, centuries lie written in the worn shapes of stones. Nearby, shells whisper of forgotten oceans. Somewhere in the horizon, a gull cries, as if narrating the eternal story of flight and return. Look at a tree. Its rings are years written in silence, a chronology of rain, drought, storm, and sunshine. And in a single fallen leaf, the cycle of birth, life, and decay is compressed, as if nature has placed eternity in a fragile shape. Nature teaches us patience. Mountains stand for millennia. Rivers carve valleys over eons. They tell us that human time is but a brief spark in the eternity of being. And yet, this spark is precious. Every moment carries infinite potential if we walk with attention. Reflection. Walking becomes a dialogue with time. Every step is both a passing moment and a connection to eternity. 9. Walking as a dialogue with the cosmos. Walking in eternal nature is not only an inner journey, it is a cosmic dialogue. Every step becomes a conversation with the universe. The earth speaks through texture underfoot. The sky speaks in the color of clouds. The wind speaks in its soft whispers. All of nature communicates if we learn to listen. We walk not as isolated beings, but as part of a larger whole. Our footsteps join an unending dance of life and existence. In philosophy and mysticism, walking is often seen as a communion with the cosmos. Ralph Waldo Emerson described walking as a way to connect with the universal mind. Henry David Thoreau called walking a means to keep the soul open. The Tao Te Ching teaches that to walk in harmony with nature is to walk in harmony with the way itself. Walking becomes a sacred ritual, a moving meditation where your body becomes an instrument attuned to the rhythm of the world. When you walk deeply in nature, you stop being an isolated self. You dissolve into a greater existence, as if the line between you and the world blurs. The ground becomes not only your path, but your teacher. The sky becomes not only your horizon, but your dialogue partner. Philosophically, this is walking as communion, an exchange where we do not merely traverse the earth, but where the earth in turn walks through us. Reflection. Every step is a conversation with eternity, a question asked by your soul to the vastness of life. Number 10. The eternal journey within. Ultimately, walking in eternal nature is not merely an external movement, it is an inner pilgrimage. The winding path before us mirrors the winding path within. Each step is a question, each breath a meditation, each pause an awakening. Walking becomes a practice of self-discovery, a form of philosophy in action. This is the heart of the eternal journey. It is not about arriving, but about becoming. Nature shows us that living is a continuous process of transformation. To walk in her presence is to walk in transformation. Every walk in eternal nature is a journey within. You return not only with memories, but with insight. You carry with you awareness, a deeper consciousness of yourself and the world, gratitude for each moment that life allows, humility in the face of the infinite, intention to live fully in the present moment. Imagine walking through a forest at sunrise. The air is cool, light filters through leaves. Birds begin their song. Every step feels like a prayer. You are not rushing toward a destination, you are walking toward yourself. Nature teaches us that eternity is not elsewhere, but here. It is not something we find in years, but something we live in moments. And those moments become eternal when we walk with awareness. Open quote, walking in eternal nature is the art of living in the present. It is to walk in awareness that every step is both ephemeral and infinite. Close quote, walking in eternal nature is more than a physical act. It is a form of living philosophy. It teaches us to slow down, to listen deeply, to find meaning in every step, to connect with something greater than ourselves. The art of walking is to become aware that we do not merely walk through life, we walk life itself. So next time you walk in nature, ask yourself, what is my intention in this step? Am I simply moving, or am I journeying? Walking in eternal nature is to walk in eternity.